Welcome to the Australian Institute of International Affairs Vision. My name is Elizabeth Abbott, and today I'm joined by His Excellency Mr Abdolhossein Vahaji, the Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Australia. Thank you for joining us, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
I'd like to start today with the recent visit of the Foreign Minister of Iran to Australia, His Excellency Dr. Mohammad Javad Zarif. Dr. Zarif's visit was the first time since 2002 that a Foreign Minister of Iran has visited Australia. What did Iran seek to achieve during these meetings, and how has the visit affected Iran and Australia's relationship?
Thank you very much for this interview. Actually, the main reason that these kind of delegations and also the trip that the official people, they pay a visit to a country is to increase and improve the relationship. So the main emphasis of these trips concentrate in that word, which is increasing and improving the relationship. When you're talking about the relationship, if the political will exists in between, then you can touch upon different aspects of interest. And fortunately, the political will exists between the two countries. They want to increase relationships in different fields of cooperation and different aspects of interest. For instance, nowadays you are emphasizing, for instance, in academic section. Maybe you can procure, you can get some of the cooperation students, university students from, for instance, Iran market. Or any kind of trading we can procure from your market. So we have to see what is the interest in between in order to have the direct effect at the end of financial year on the volumes and the figures that it shows. So this is the actually the main emphasis that we are following up. For sure, in that trip that he paid a visit over here, they discussed the different aspects and different subjects with the different officials over here, and we had a very fruitful negotiation and a face-to-face dialogue in order to remove the obstacles if exist and to improve the relationship.
Wonderful. That economic aspect you touched on, I think, relates a lot to the lifting of sanctions against Iran in early 2016. It was hoped to foster greater global engagement. However, the early successes of the P5+1 negotiations have been undermined by reports that banking institutions are continuing to pose a barrier to trade. How much is Iran seeing the benefit of decreased sanctions?
Well, this kind of a situation that we were in it in the past, for sure it has a different influence in different sections. It is not equal in all sections. It hasn't been the same kind of result on that kind of sanction. But anyway, the sanction itself as a word is not a good behavior, is not a good attitude of a relationship between the countries. But the point is, after the releasing the sanction, first of all, the psychological effect of the market has been removed. This is one positive point. Secondly, the different divisions and also part of the activities, they are in a position to move forward in order to fulfill the requirements, no matter is in what item or what aspect and what subjects. But the reality is, when you make a decision like this in order to prepare different sectors in order to follow up the matters and implement those decision making, it takes time. It doesn't follow up automatically. Everything is not going to be on the road. You have paved the ways, but in order to move, it takes some time, especially in the economic section. In the economic section, when you want to get the results of what has been done so far, it takes some time. It is true that the release of the transaction, money transaction, has been decided and it has been lifted. But still, the banking system has some difficulties and obstacles. They are not smooth enough in order to open the LCs for the trading sections. And also, their cooperation nowadays is not to the level it should be. But it takes some time. It takes some time.
Understandably. So last week, the Gulf nations failed to reach an agreement at an oil summit in Qatar, and the global oil price continues to decline. What does the failure of these meetings mean for Iran's oil exports and relationships in the region?
Well, first of all, as you know, the price of oil since last year has been dropped drastically. And somewhere from over $100, it has become to less than $30. But this kind of attitude, it was politicized. It was not the reality of the price. It is not the real price. It was politicized price for a different for the different point of view, for the different kind of means that they were after. But the point is nowadays, for instance, since the last February, the price of the oil has been increased. The reality, the kind of decision that you make in order to push down the price is not going to be forever. It's not going to be for a long time. Since this is a politicized price, is going to be overcome within a limit of the period of time. So since the February this year, the price, it was around $30. Now it's over $42. So, and it's going to go up again to our estimate that because this is not the reality, this is not the real price of the oil. The real price of the oil, to our estimation, is between $60–70. So it's going to come up to that price eventually, to my understanding. And any kind of decision making is not going to last long if that decision making is not to the real attitude, the real position that each oil producing country is following up. So this is the situation of the oil nowadays in the region. This is the situation of the price worldwide, and everyone is going to get the benefit out of it when you reach to the real price. And as far as you do not reach the real price, anyway, it's going to have a burden to some specific part of the market.
Fantastic. It's been great to get your ideas on some of the economic issues facing both of our countries. On to a different subject. ISIS is a common enemy of both Australia and Iran. When in Australia, Dr. Zarif spoke of the need for our nations to cooperate to tackle the threat of extremism. However, given Australia and Iran diverge on the issue of Assad's leadership in Syria, how can our nations truly cooperate?
Well, so far has been cooperating, and we are in a position that we exchange our views in different aspects of international activities. And you know, you have some troops for educating the soldiers in the Middle East, especially in Iraq, and in order to defeat the ISIS. And anyway, we are defeating the ISIS as well. So the first step is, to my understanding is to sit together face to face, to negotiate and have a dialogue. This is the best way to do it. The second way is when you clarify your position, when you understand one another's position, you can come up much more closer. It doesn't mean we have to follow up everything according to one another idea, but the point is that you are looking positively to that negotiation. The attitude of the negotiator is positive in order to come up to a, for instance, solid result. And at the end, you can fulfill the kind of attitude you have toward that kind of activity in the region. Anyway, ISIS is a common enemy of everyone. ISIS is threatening the security of the nations all over the world. So security is a subject which is to the benefit of all nations. So we have to understand one another that we are trying to bring back more security for our people. Since we have the same position, we can reach to a solution much better. And those subjects that the people, they do not have the same attitude or the same point of view, of course it's going to be harder. It is not something to be impossible, but it's going to be harder. Fortunately, on this subject, our attitude and Australian attitude is more or less is the same.
Fantastic. To conclude, I'd just like to ask your view on any barriers or opportunities for the bilateral relationship between Iran and Australia.
Well, opportunities, it is a lot of opportunities for the both sides. Our market somehow is complementing one another. In some fields, you are ahead of us. For instance, you are in a better situation for defeating the drought, for production of the grain. We are a drought country. We can get the benefit of this knowledge. Vice versa. We have a good position in nanotechnology. We can transfer this kind of technology to your country. We have a better position in peaceful nuclear activities. We can transfer this kind of activities in the peaceful relationship and needs that the two countries they have. So in the academy, we have some needs, you have some needs. So we have to find out the interests of one another and to find out the correct way, the proper way in order to reach that aim as a shorter time than a longer time. And this is what we are emphasizing on in order to match one another market together and to show the interest of one another countries in order to get the benefit of one another. Nowadays, everyone is very active in Australian market. The business community, they are active in that regard. They have had we have had many delegations from Australia in Iran, especially in academic sectors, in the business sectors, and it's going to be more and more. And tourism has been increased for to a very high number comparing to last year. After the lifting the sanction, the number of tourism has been increased, and the issuance we do it over here has been more and more and more. So we need to understand one another position. We need to introduce one another situation. We need to know about one another culture. we have to pay a visit to one another country in order to see the reality from the close look. It is much different, the situation we have in Iran, than what you receive in the media. It's entirely different. The security in Iran is the best situation comparing to the other countries in the region. And we see that in the near future, when everything moves toward to complement and fulfill the needs of one another country, we are going to reach to that level as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
For more information on the AIIA's work, visit www.internationalaffairs.org.au.